Merry Christmas, movie.
Hello and welcome to I've Seen Everything, where the name is ironic and the reactions are... Happy holidays, everyone. My name's Andrew, and this here is my tree. Say hello, tree. And today, all of you are here to watch It's a Wonderful Life with me for the very first time. Now, this is an odd one for me to not have seen before, because I am a Jimmy Stewart fan. Mostly the Hitchcock stuff, but Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Call Northside 777, a bunch of different Jimmy Stewart movies that I've loved over the years, but for some reason, I've never made it around to It's a Wonderful Life. But this movie won our Week 1 holiday movie poll with 37% of the vote, and I am excited to check this one off my list. So what do I know about It's a Wonderful Life? Pretty much nothing. That's not necessarily true. I know Jimmy Stewart is in it, obviously. I know it's a classic Christmas movie that not only has remained a classic all these years, but it's a movie that's a staple for a lot of families. They have to watch it every Christmas. I also know this is one of the movies for which Jimmy Stewart was nominated for an Academy Award. So that should hopefully obviously say something about the quality of the performance here, even way back when this movie came out. I know it has something to do with an angel. I know it has something to do with Jimmy Stewart's character being shown what his life would be like without him, presumably to prove to him why his life is of value. Again, this is all from little bits and pieces I've heard over the years about this movie, but I don't know a lot of the details beyond that. I really appreciate you being here with me to watch it. I really appreciate all of you voting for this to win the movie poll. So I'm anxious to get started. If you do me a favor, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button down there. Click the bell so you can see when I'm putting out new videos. So without any more ado whatsoever, let's get going watching the 1946 holiday classic, It's a Wonderful Life. Liberty Films. It's a big freaking bell. I forgot this was Frank Capra also. Frank Capra also did Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Donna Reed. I totally forgot that too. Okay. Establishing location, Bedford Falls.
I owe everything to George Bailey. Help him, dear father.
Is all this music original to this movie? Doesn't sound, it sounds newer. It doesn't sound very indicative of the 40s, but...
Give him a break, God.
Watch over him tonight.
Wow. A lot of people praying for George Bailey.
Looks like we'll have to send someone down. A lot of people asking for help for a man named George Bailey.
Oh, wow. So enough people pray for George Bailey, and angels who are in space send someone down to help.
Of a rabbit.
Yes, but he's got the faith of a child. Simple.
That's different. I don't know if I've seen, especially from this era, a time where angels are represented in space.
Might I perhaps win my wings? I've been waiting for over 200 years now, sir, and people are beginning to talk.
I forgot about that. The angel Clarence is trying to gain his wings as well. So everyone has a stake in what's going on here.
That's him when he was 12, back in 1919.
Wow. That seems like both like a lot of fun and very dangerous.
And here comes my kid brother, Harry Bailey.
I have a bad feeling about this. I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, that was what I was worried would happen.
George saved his brother's life that day.
Okay. I was going to say...
Cold, which infected his left ear. Cost him his hearing in that ear.
Oh, jeez. I was going to say it wouldn't necessarily be very realistic for him to drown that easily. I didn't know we got this much backstory on the characters. I didn't know we had a bunch of flashbacks from when he was a kid.
I like it. You like every boy. What's wrong with that?
12-year-olds hanging out in a store because they think he's cute. Maybe not even that old.
Of course you never. Only us explorers can get it.
I bet you he's done a lot of exploring at his age.
George Bailey, I'll love you till the day I die. I'm going out exploring someday, and I'm going to have a couple of harems, and maybe 3 or 4 wives.
I was about to say, are we to believe that he didn't hear that? But also, that was pretty disgusting. Especially a disgusting thing for a kid to say. Harems and wives. Ugh. Okay. That wasn't his brother, was it? No, it was this guy's son.
Take those cups and over Mrs. Blaine.
I wondered why he was crying. He obviously seemed emotional about something.
Mr. Galloway.
Oh, good joy.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if what they're talking about George considering later, if that's what we're going to see here with this guy after losing his son. If I didn't already know that Mr. Potter was the villain, I feel like I know now.
Not with my money.
This guy put Scrooge to shame.
Oh, I suppose I should give it to miserable failures like you and that idiot brother of yours to spend for me.
Unfortunately, something about wealthy people, things that makes them better than others or makes them smart or anything other than just jerks. I mean, not all wealthy people are jerks. Unfortunately, too many of them.
Be over in 5 minutes for the plan.
He seems different than when George was there before.
What kind of tricks you playing?
The hell is going on?
All right, son, all right, thanks.
Made him bleed.
Oh, George.
He was distraught over his son and he almost poisoned somebody.
I know you're feeling.
That's horrible. That one's gonna get me a bit.
I want you to take a good look at that face.
That's quite a freeze frame.
Did he ever marry the girl? Did he ever go exploring?
One of those, perhaps. I don't think the exploring.
From Italy and Baghdad.
Although he's apparently thinking about it.
Little present from old man Gowa. Came down and picked it out himself.
That's nice. So he's still alive. They didn't really say how many years had passed.
Forget it.
Well, it's wonderful of you to think of me.
Hope you enjoy it.
Doesn't seem like anyone else has changed all that much.
Some dress you got on there.
This old thing? Well, I only wear it when I don't care how I look.
Yeah, that was real subtle. Not like she was showing off on purpose. Is that his brother who lost his hearing, I think?
Boy, my last meal in the old Bailey boarding house.
Oh, my land, my blood pressure.
So George is planning on taking off to go exploring and all the rest of it. Doing what? I wonder how he got the money together for that. And is he going as part of some kind of expedition or...
Oh, he's a sick man. Frustrated, sick in his mind, sick in his soul if he has one. He hates everybody that has anything that he can't have.
Sounds like Mr. Potter is a perfect example that even wealthy people can still be completely miserable if they're terrible people.
You coming later, George?
What do you mean, and be bored to death?
Quite a way to transport the pies. Doesn't seem very practical.
You know, George, I wish we could send Harry to college with you.
All right, maybe he's a little younger than I thought. He says he's going to college.
Oh, well, you know what I've always talked about. Build things. Design new buildings, plan modern city.
So he's an architect of some kind or a city planner?
You wouldn't consider coming back to the building alone, would you?
Well,
I get the sense that that's the most polite no he can try to give. The classic situation of someone from a small town trying to get out of the small town. I mean, not everyone who lives in a small town wants to leave.
I want to do something big and something important. Most of my friends have already finished college. I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
Oh, so he's not necessarily that young. He's been waiting and saving money to be able to go to college, to be able to leave town. It makes sense in that kids don't necessarily want to live a life that's been laid out for them. They want to create their own life.
Pop, you want a shock? I think you're a great guy.
It's about time one of you lunkheads said it.
There's a special moment between him and his father. And wondering if this is signaling something that's going to happen to his father. I hope not. Class of 28. So this is only 9 years later. I'm really trying to get the ages down here.
Hello,
What am I being?
I don't remember which of the two girls this is. I'm assuming it was the one, not the one who said that she would love him for the rest of her life.
Next thing I knew, some guy came up and tripped me. That's the reason why.
Yeah, there's Donna Reed. She's the one who said it, the one who whispered in his ear. And they look like they haven't seen each other in quite a while. I don't think she's listening to you anymore, buddy.
Hey, this is my day.
Oh, why don't you stop annoying me?
That's a smooth way to get someone away.
You pass me on the street almost every day.
Me? Ah, that was a little girl named Mary Hatt.
Yeah, he certainly looked at her as though he did know her, and that he was very happy to see her. Hey, look at him go. Those 1920s moves from Jimmy Stewart and Patty Duke. That's some pretty great moves there from Jimmy Stewart.
Did you know that button behind you causes this floor to open up?
I think they're going to fall in. They are very distinctly not watching. They are the only ones not watching. This is some pretty great suspense they're building. And there it goes. I've never seen a pool like that. A pool at a... He's still dancing in the water. There you go. Make it into a fun moment for everybody. I've never seen something like that at a school before, where you have a gym floor just open up and you have a swimming pool underneath. Makes sense, I guess. I did not expect him to jump in.
You should have seen the commotion in that locker room. I had to knock down 3 people to get this stuff we're wearing here.
They jumped in the pool and then they all raided the locker room for clothes to wear home.
You know, if it wasn't me talking, I'd say you were the prettiest girl in town.
Well, why don't you say it?
Yeah, well, that's not a nice thing to say. You can't say that about somebody?
You look a little older without your clothes on. I mean, without a dress.
Real smooth, Jimmy.
A pox upon me for a clumsy lout.
You may kiss my hand.
They're having fun together. They're good together. I don't understand why they'd make such a big deal about it.
I'd like to live in it.
Foreshadowing. Hey, she got one.
What'd you wish, Mary?
I get the feeling she might not tell you.
Buffalo gals.
Yep. Some wishes are secret.
You want the moon? I'll throw a lasso around.
I've heard that one before.
Why don't you kiss her instead of tonguing her to death?
If an extra in the movie can tell that you're wasting time, maybe I ought to listen. Oh, is she naked? That does not bode well. She is naked in a bush.
Over here, in the hydrangea bushes.
Quick, your father's had a stroke. Mary, I'm sorry, I've got to go. Come on.
Yeah, I was worried that something like that might happen. I don't know if I've ever seen Donna Reed in a movie before. I used to watch the Donna Reed show every once in a while.
I want the board to know that George gave up his trip to Europe to help straighten things out here these past few months.
What happened to his father? Oh, wait. He's wearing a black armband. It means his father passed away.
I claim this institution is not necessary to this time, and I make a motion to dissolve this institution.
George is not going to feel like he can leave. Feels like he needs to protect what his father built.
Peter Bailey was the building and loan.
Oh, that's fine, Potter, coming from you, considering that you probably drove him to his grave.
Potter was a horrible person and probably caused him a ton of stress, which could have left him stroke.
Oh, the bank turned down this loan, and we're building him a house. Why?
Well, I handled that, Mr. Potter.
Yeah, because you actually are trying to help people. You want to give them an opportunity.
Discontented, lazy rabble instead of a thrifty working class.
How does Potter not realize how miserable he is? The old man with nobody in his life. I don't care how much money he has. You can see that right here.
He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me, but he did help a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter.
You're going to talk to the guy who has the slums and expect him to understand. Expect him to understand selflessness, caring about people.
Until their children grow up and leave them, until they're so old and broken down that
This guy could not be more of a caricature of a villain if he tried.
rabble you're talking about. They do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath?
Here, here. Same people talking about the same things today, unfortunately. No matter how much money he puts in his pockets, it'll never make him happy.
If only to have some place where people can come without crawling to Potter. Come on.
Well, maybe he saved it. Maybe they can stand up against Potter, if it's all of them, if he inspired them.
I can get another job. I'm only 55.
56.
Go on, Haley.
They're trying to get him to go, which means he's probably not going to end up going.
They've appointed George here as executive secretary to take his father's place.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving right now. I'm going to school. This is my last chance. Uncle Billy here. He's your man.
But George, they'll vote with Potter otherwise.
That is a terrible position to be in. He has a kind of generosity and sense of responsibility his father had.
Now, there are plenty of jobs around if somebody likes to travel. Look at this here. Venezuela oil fields.
So George spends his entire life dreaming about going somewhere else. Will he then find out that what he wanted was in this town the whole time?
Uncle Billy, I haven't changed a bit.
Nobody ever changes here, you know that.
I'm glad to see you.
That was my point. Doesn't seem to matter how much time passes. People don't really change all that much.
Well, I wired you. I had a surprise. Here she is. Meet the wife.
Oh, he eloped. Got married without even telling him.
What am I doing? Congratulations!
Well, I mean, you did just meet her.
The father offered him a job.
Oh.
About that job, Bruce spoke out of turn. I never said I'd take it. You've been holding the bag here for 4 years, and...
Yeah, he said he would come take over the building and loan. He's not going to let him pass up the job. He's not the type. He'll constantly sacrifice himself. That's what his dad did, too. He knows it already, too. Look, you can see it in his face.
My father owns a glass factory in Buffalo.
Did a good job?
Oh, yes, very. Good future, you know.
He's not going to let him pass it up. He's just not. He cares about his brother too much.
Well, maybe I better go home. Where's my hat? Where's my hat?
How helpful you are, George.
Point me in the right direction. Would you do that, George? Oh.
I hope he's not about to go, too. That would really suck. George doesn't need another death. Doesn't need his uncle to die. Oh.
I'm all right.
Okay, please stay that way. Walk home carefully.
Oh, sweetest flower.
He feels too much responsibility for him. He can't let him do it. Can't let him turn his back on this future that he wants. Whew, this is a interesting movie for me to be watching now. That's all I'll say.
How do you like her?
She's swell.
She didn't even get mad at him for smoking a cigarette. Must be used to it.
Mary Hatch is back from school. Kind that'll help you find the answers.
She's looking out for her son. She knows how he feels about her.
Give me one good reason why you shouldn't call on Mary.
For Sam Wainwright.
She's not crazy about him.
Yeah. You don't look at anybody else the way that they looked at each other that night at his brother's graduation. Maybe don't just stand in the middle of the street.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think I got a date.
Why is she fixated on him? She's been fixated on him since she was a little girl. You'd have figured she would have moved on by now.
Probably end up down at the library.
How late's the library open?
What are you doing tonight?
Nothing.
Let's go out in the fields and take off our shoes and walk through the grass.
Huh?
He's got a different idea of a fun time than she does.
Georgie, have you gone crazy? Why, walk in the grass in my bare feet. Why, it's 10 miles up to Mount Bedford.
Well, she'll probably leave him alone after this. And that was pretty creepy. Everyone just standing around watching. How did that happen so damn fast? Telegraphing the fact that he's in love with this woman because she would have been all over that.
Oh, Mary, I just happened to be passing by her.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Have you made up your mind?
About what?
Your mother just phoned and said you were on your way over to pay me a visit.
He's trying to put them together, and she's tired of waiting for you. That's cute. Said he'd lasso the moon for her. She even got the outfit he was wearing right, the football uniform.
When'd you get back?
Tuesday.
Did you get that dress?
You like it?
Are you really interested in where she got her dress? You do a lot of dress shopping. Oh, I think there's a meme here that I've seen.
No, I guess I was homesick.
Homesick? For Bedford Falls?
George, you have a weird way of flirting.
Would you like to sit down?
All right, for a minute.
I mean, I understand being sarcastic, but this whole being negative thing, a little bit much.
What's that?
She drew of you.
Some joke, huh?
He's being a jerk. What problem does he have with her?
Marriage in general you're not enthusiastic about.
Marriage is all right for Harry and Marty and Sam and you.
How can he be this clueless? He doesn't even know why he showed up over there.
What's he want?
What do you want?
I think she'd like to know that herself.
I just came in to get warm.
He's making violent love to me, Mother.
That's quite a joke for a movie from the 40s.
Why don't you go home?
That's where I'm going. I don't know why I came here in the first place.
Everyone else knows why you came there. How can you be this stupid, George? There's the meme. I've seen that many, many times.
Hee-haw. Hello, Sam. How are you?
Okay. Now she's using him to make George jealous. Was Sam the one that opened up the pool?
Just so he asked for him,
Hey, a fine pal you are. What are you trying to do, steal my girl?
Oh yeah, she looks like your girl. Really looks like his girl with the people he's hanging out with.
Why not right here?
Well, might get some people in the town and some jobs.
He says it's the chance of a lifetime.
And I don't want to get married ever to anyone. You understand that?
George, what the hell is wrong with you? Was this supposed to be romantic back in those days? Well, at least he finally kissed her. There you go. So what was happening? Just him coming to terms with that he didn't want another thing holding him to this town? Would put his life plans on hold again or cancel them permanently? She'd go with him anywhere. She was always the one that was up for anything. The mother's upset. She wanted her daughter to marry the other guy because she thought he was more successful.
Annie, we're just two old maids now. You speak for yourself, Miss B.
Where are we going? There's the kitty, Ernie.
He robbed the building and loan.
Don't look now, but there's something funny going on over there at the bank, George.
I think this is one of the few things I've seen, and I think I know what's about to happen to their money.
Please, let's not stop, George.
It's the same thing over and over again. George almost leaves, he almost goes off to do the thing he wants to do, but then something pulls him back in.
Make yourself at home.
They don't seem real patient.
All I know is the bank called our loan.
When?
Potter always coming after him.
There's a rumor around town that you've closed your doors.
Vulture circling. waiting for any opportunity.
I have just guaranteed the bank sufficient funds to meet their needs. They will close up for a week and then reopen.
Just took over the bank.
Oh, hostile takeover of the financial institutions of the town.
Just tell them to bring their shares over here, and I will pay 50 cents on the dollar.
Oh, you never miss a trick, do you, Potter?
Yeah, I don't think he wants your deal, Potter. Not that he has a lot of other options, but I don't blame him. I wouldn't have taken it either. I don't care what happens.
Your money?
No.
Well, I did. Old man Potter will pay 50 cents on the dollar for every share you got.
So he could lose his place without having anything to say about it if they're willing to sell their shares.
If Potter gets a hold of this building on loan, there'll never be another decent house built in this town. He's already got charge of the bank, he's got the bus line, he got the department stores, and now he's after us.
That's what you do. You panic people and you get them to be willing to take anything. They'll sign anything, do anything you want just to avoid losing everything, or if they think they're going to lose everything.
Potter isn't selling, Potter's buying.
Exactly right. Probably caused the whole thing.
Am I going to live until the bank opens? How much do you need?
Yep. There goes their money.
I got $2,000.
$242.
Come on, Tom. Tom's a jerk. He doesn't care about anyone else.
$20?
$20. Now you're...
There we go. Bill cares about people.
Could I have $17.50?
I've seen her before somewhere too, but wow.
4, 3, 2,
That's...
1, bingo!
That really is heartwarming. Especially in the face of someone like him.
We still got $2 left. Well, look,
We've still got $2 left. It is very heartwarming, but also very sad to see people struggle so much financially, but see them come together, but also to see people dealing with so many of the same issues they still deal with today.
wedding cigars. Oh, wedding.
Yeah, where'd your wife go?
A train ticket. The train's gone.
Your money's gone too.
Listen, dear, I'm sorry. 320 Sycamore.
Oh, I know what house it is. Although I feel like it might need some fixing up. There's going to be some pretty big leaks going on.
Hey, Bert! Here he comes!
Oh, that's very sweet. Didn't expect that.
Entree, monsieur.
A lot of buckets already. Mary's a real one, that's for sure. Oh, look at that. That's incredible. George, come on. Yeah, buckets and leaking, I know. That's incredibly sweet. I really hope they get to go some of these. I really hope they get to go some of these places someday. George has had so many starts and stops already. But he met an incredible person along the way. That's for sure.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey.
He has to be pushed along by everybody. There you go. That's all you need.
I love you.
Those are good friends, too. Stand out there in the rain and do that.
Remember the night we broke the windows in this old house?
She said they lived there.
This is what I wished for.
That's very, very sweet. Not bad, guys. That was a little mean.
Giuseppe Martini, I own my own house.
That's what it's about right there. People who wouldn't be able to buy a house otherwise and helping them out. Bailey Park. Well, that's different. Did they mention that early on, or is this a new development?
Enter the Martini Castle.
That meant the world to those people. Have an opportunity to do that.
Prettiest little homes you ever saw. 90% owned by suckers who used to pay rent to you. Your Potter's Field is becoming just that.
Is that where the term Potter's Field came from? I've heard that used before. Guess it would make sense that it came from here.
If I were you, Mr. Potter...
You are not me.
We can all agree upon that. I'm, for one, am very glad not to be Mr. Potter.
I offered to let George in on the ground floor in plastics, and he turned me down cold.
Well, George had responsibilities elsewhere, didn't he, Sam?
Bye, George.
Glad to say.
So long, George. See you in the funny paper. So long, Mary.
Sam.
I mean, Sam doesn't seem like he's all bad, but he doesn't really get why George is doing what he's doing. I'm surprised George would come have a meeting with Mr. Potter. I don't know if you're using that chair right, George.
Most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even.
At least he's well aware of himself.
You saved the building and loan, I saved all the rest.
Yes, well, most people say you stole all the rest.
Yeah, I would say that was probably pretty accurate, too. Opportunists took advantage of desperate people.
If this young man at 28 was an ordinary yokel, I say he was doing fine. George Bailey is not an ordinary yokel.
Is this his first direct appeal to his greed? Feels like he may have offered him something before.
A young man, the smartest one in the crowd, mind you.
Talk him up, try to appeal to his ego, trying to buy him off.
I'll start you out at $20,000 a year.
That's a lot of money for back then.
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town, buying your wife a lot of fine clothes.
Why would you ever trust Potter? You guys don't really like each other, nor has he ever done anything that you should trust him over.
Provided he has enough brains to climb aboard.
No. George, there's one answer, and it's no, and you know it. Come on, you gotta know it.
I'm offering you a 3-year contract at $20,000 a year starting today. Is it a deal or isn't it?
Yeah, if you sell out all those people. I'd say it isn't a deal.
It'd be possible for you to give me 24 hours to think it over?
Sure.
I think he's gonna regret that 24 hours. Or maybe he won't need it.
Oh, no, wait a minute here.
He's not gonna need it.
I don't need 24 hours, and the answer's no.
Yeah, what the hell were you thinking, George?
Webbs, and you think the whole world revolves around you and your money. Well,
There we go. You should have said from the very beginning.
I'd say you were nothing but a scurvy little spider. And that goes for you, too.
I mean, he's just been standing there the whole time. But, you know, I guess anybody who has the misfortune to be around.
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town, buying your wife a lot of fine clothes, going to New York on a business trip.
His wife doesn't care about those things. His wife cares about being with him. He cares about being with her and the life that they've built together.
What is you want, Mary? What, you want the moon?
Oh, girl, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight?
I didn't know we spent this much time before we got to the stuff about him dealing with the angel and all the rest of it.
Hi.
We've really built a world here and a life around George and shown what he's up against and all of it.
Why in the world would you ever marry a guy like me?
I've asked that question.
Didn't want to marry anybody else. I want my baby to look like you.
Oh, no.
Your what?
My baby.
Oh, someone's about to be a father.
George Bailey Lasso Stork.
This is a stork.
Put it together, George.
Then came a war.
Yeah.
Harry Bailey topped them all. Paper drives, scrap drives,
Yeah.
rubber drives.
That must have been a tough time during the war. People had to pull together in just about every way possible. Yeah, his brother really did do something special.
Look at the headline there, President.
I know, George, and it's marvelous.
Get the feeling something else bad is about to happen.
24.
What is Uncle Billy doing at the bank?
Morning, Mr. Potter. What's the news? Harry Bailey wins congressional medal.
I don't know what Billy's doing over at the bank, messing with Potter.
Not every heel.
He gave him the money.
Good morning, Mr. Bailey.
Good morning, Horace.
Oh, I get. This is what ends up happening. He loses the money they need.
It's usually customary to bring the money with you.
He put it in the newspaper. He just handed it to Potter. And Potter knows what he did, and he knows what it'll do. It'll put enough pressure on them that they'll have to sell. Yeah, it's starting to make sense.
It takes a lot of character to leave your hometown and start all over again.
Taking off to New York to try to reinvent herself. Yeah, you should have gone with him that night. Nah, you shouldn't have. You weren't the one he was supposed to end up with.
Sure.
Might want to wipe that off, yeah.
What's going on? What about the bank examiner's here?
He's here.
Well, yeah, he wants the accounts payable to...
Yeah, this is... Billy is always messing something up, it seems. This is a really bad moment. This guy looks really impatient.
Did you buy anything?
Nothing, not even a stick of gum.
Potter's watching him every second of the way. This shows exactly how horrible Potter is. What a terrible person he is.
Where's that money, you silly, stupid old fool? You realize what this means? It means bankruptcy and scandal and prison.
I would say he's being a bit rough, but there's only so much pressure you can take. And that was the last freaking thing they needed to happen at a moment like that.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Daddy. Hello, Daddy.
It makes a little more sense now. It's how does he come in and tell his family that their whole life is about to fall apart?
Isn't it wonderful about Harry? We're famous.
Yeah, he's not doing well at all. It's pretty obvious that something is very, very wrong. Does he tell her?
House next door have a new car. You should see it.
Oh, what's the matter with our car? Isn't it good enough for you?
Yes, Dad.
All right, I understand you're under stress, but quit being horrible to your children.
Why do we have to live here in the first place and stay around this measly, crummy old town?
George, what's wrong?
Wrong everything, Joy. You call this a happy family. Why do we have to have all these kids?
What the hell is he talking about? He's under stress, I get that, but he's gonna badmouth their entire life? The hell's his problem? Oh no, the thing came off the banister again.
Look, Daddy. Taste it.
I don't think that's how flowers work, kiddo. Well, he did the right thing there.
Zuzu's teacher? Yeah. Say, what kind of a teacher are you anyway? What do you mean sending her home like that, half naked? You realize she'll probably end up with pneumonia on account of you?
The hell is your problem, George? I really like Jimmy Stewart, and I understand this is probably just something of the time period, but I don't get things going wrong in your life and you just try to tear everyone else apart.
Okay, Mr. Welch, anytime you think you're man enough, you... Hello?
You're gonna get into a fight with his daughter's teacher's husband. Yeah, you're definitely in the wrong here, George.
Janie, haven't you learned that silly tune yet? You play it over and over again. Now stop it! Stop it!
I'm really trying to be understanding. I know his whole life is falling apart, but that's not any of their faults. And I'm getting the sense that he's realizing that right now.
I'm sorry, Mary. Janie, I'm sorry. You go on and practice. Pete, I owe you an apology, too.
This makes him feel even worse. He already felt like he let so many people down, and now he can't stand how terrible he was to them. Yeah. Understand a little bit more now. He's at basically his lowest point.
Is Daddy in trouble?
Yes, Pete. Hello? Uncle Billy?
She doesn't have any idea what's going on, and she's still trying to hold it all together.
I'm in trouble, Mr. Potter. I've got to raise $8,000 immediately. I'll pay any sort of a bonus on the loan, any interest.
Shows you really how desperate he is that he would go to Potter for help with this. The biggest scumbag in the world who's doing this to them on purpose.
Playing the market with the company's money?
No, sir.
You know, it's all over town that you've been giving money to Violet Big.
Oh, so now he doesn't even want just the building alone. He wants to disgrace George Bailey.
Look at you. You used to be so cocky.
Disgusting human beings is enjoying this a bit too much.
You once called me a warped, frustrated old man.
And he was being kind when he said it.
$500 equity in a life insurance policy. You're worth more dead than alive.
Oh, he put the idea in his head. Didn't even realize that. That makes a lot more sense.
I'm going to swear out a warrant for your arrest. You can't hide in a little town like this.
So he knowingly holds the money that Uncle Billy lost and tortures George and swears out a warrant for him to get arrested. I also wonder if he knew planting the idea that he's worth more dead than alive would lead George to consider what he's going to consider. I'd say it, but I hear that saying it on YouTube is not a good idea.
I'm not a praying man. If you're up there, you can hear me. Show me the way.
George is given just about everything else to help other people. Now he's going to give his life. Okay, well, that's a random reaction.
It isn't enough she's slaves teaching you stupid kids how to read and write. You have to ball her out, eh? Get out of here, Mr. Welch!
Yeah, it's a little understandable, but you picked the wrong bar to do it. Wow, you really got a good shot on him.
That's what I get for praying.
The last time you come in here, you hear that, Nick?
You really did help this guy. This guy got his own house, and he got his own bar now, too. Won't even listen to his friends trying to help him. Ooh. It sounds pretty stupid, but you shouldn't be drinking and driving.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Look where you're going.
And I feel we are about to arrive at the part of this movie I am at least somewhat familiar with. They have spent an hour and a half leading up to his lowest point. And I'm assuming that's Clarence. Can he not see him at this point? I didn't see. What is that? Oh, is that Clarence? So he was going to jump off of there to take himself out, but he's able to jump off to save Clarence without it being a problem?
My wife gave me this on my last birthday. I passed away in it.
Passed away in it. Well, you might not want to go around just saying that to people, Clarence.
It's against the law to commit suicide around here.
How would you enforce a law like that, I wonder?
Where do you come from? Heaven?
Clarence is not trying to keep things low profile, that's for sure.
I knew if I were drowning, you tried to save me. You see, you did, and that's how I saved you.
It's true. George wouldn't have been able to sit around and let someone else get hurt.
Well, who are you then?
Clarence Oddbody, Angel, second class.
This guy got more than he bargained for on this watch shift on a bridge.
Why'd you want to save me?
I'm your guardian angel. $8,000.
And how do you know that?
I believe he's revealed to you already. You're just choosing not to listen to him.
What happened to your wing?
I haven't worn my wings yet.
Both have something to gain here, George.
I'm worth more dead than alive.
Now look, you mustn't talk like that. I won't get my wings with that attitude.
That's the kind of thing Potter would want you to believe. All right, so this is what's going to do it. He has to prove to him what they'd really be like without him.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
And there we go. Made an actual wish.
That's an idea. You've got your wish.
Be an interesting perspective, for sure.
You don't have to make all that fuss about it. You've never been born. You don't exist.
Say something else not here.
Sure, you can hear out of it.
So I guess I got that wrong before. He was the one who lost the hearing in his ear.
What I need's a couple of good stiff drinks. How about you, Angel? You want a drink?
I think part of your problem was that you had too much to drink to begin with.
What's the matter?
No car.
Cut a big gash.
No gash.
You had me worried. One of the oldest trees in Pottersville.
Pottersville? Why, you mean Bedford Falls?
I mean Pottersville.
I feel like we're headed in for a whole montage of examples of, hey, guess what? You really never lived.
Off my nutter he is. Or you are.
Isn't me.
You better hope Clarence doesn't disappear, otherwise he's really going to start to think he's losing his mind. Amazing how much the bar has changed since he was there just, maybe a couple hours ago.
Double bourbon, will you? Quick, huh?
Okay. What's yours?
He doesn't have any money for it, I don't think, so that's going to be a problem.
Mulled wine, heavy on the cinnamon.
Clarence doesn't know how to order a drink.
Do I have to slip you my lift for a convincer?
It's quite a business strategy, threatening to hit your customers.
Every time you hear a bell rings, it means that some angel's just got his wings.
Well, just grab a bell and start ringing it. Give a lot of angels their wings. Jackpot.
Didn't I tell you never to come panhandling around here? Huh?
That's the guy who owned the pharmacy, I think. And that's Nick's a jerk. Spray homeless people in the face.
Mr. Gower! Hey, what is it?
That rumhead spent 20 years in jail for poisoning a kid.
So he went to prison for what what George stopped him from doing when he was a kid. Because there was no one to stop him.
You were not there to stop Gower from putting that poison into the capsule.
What do you mean I wasn't there? Remember this? Well, this ought to be Martini's place.
The real question is, how long does it take him to catch on? Will he finally catch on now, or is he going to stay in denial about it?
They're not there either.
What?
Zuzu's petals.
That's pretty confusing. Or that's pretty convincing there.
You've been given a great gift, George. Chance to see what the world would be like without you.
I don't think it's going to feel like a gift. I think it's going to feel like hell. But it'll make the point in the end, that's for sure.
How am I doing, Joseph? Thanks. I didn't have a drink.
Well, I mean, he's torturing him. I'm getting the sense that Pottersville is going to be not as nice a place as Bedford Falls. Why is it always when the wealthy guys take over, it's bars and brothels and all that stuff? Strip clubs, that kind of thing. Casinos. I guess whatever keeps more and more money coming in. Yeah, I would have figured she would have been there. He never helped her leave town.
Arnie, take me home. I'm going off my nut.
Where do you live?
You're Ernie Bishop, and you live in Bailey Park with your wife and kid. That's right.
I live in a shack in Pottersfield. My wife ran away 3 years ago.
That would be really creepy if someone got into your back of your car and said that, and you had no clue who they were. And he's wrong about everything he said. And Ernie ratted him out to the cops.
This house ain't been lived in for 20 years.
What's up, Ernie?
I don't know, but we better keep our eye on this guy. He's bats.
Yeah, George, I guess Clarence was telling the truth, wasn't he? And this world without you doesn't look too great. But that's the point, isn't it?
Ernie, what's the matter with you two guys? You were here on my wedding night.
Hey, we're singing to him. It's quite a turnaround. Ooh, didn't know angels bit cops.
Joseph!
Disappear.
Joseph!
Where'd he go?
Yeah, explain that one.
I need a drink.
Ernie just saw it happen, too.
Well,
Mother, what do you want?
I thought sure you'd remember me.
George who?
That's got to be something truly horrible to look into the face of your own mother and not have her recognize you.
Your brother-in-law, Uncle Billy.
He's been in the insane asylum ever since he lost his business.
Losing the building alone drove Uncle Billy out of his mind, presumably after his brother passed away.
The last man I talked to before all this stuff started happening to me was Martini. Lives in Bailey Park.
There is no Bailey Park, as with so many other things.
I'm not sure of anything anymore. All I know is this should be Bailey Park.
They did say there was a cemetery. I'm presuming the cemetery is still there.
Your brother, Harry Bailey, was drowned at the age of 9.
Saved the lives of every man on that transport.
Harry wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry.
Yeah. It's a very simple message about how a person's actions go much further than they think they possibly could, especially when you're a kind person who did wonderful things for all kinds of people.
Clarence, where's Mary?
She's an old maid. Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.
I feel like George has been pushed about as far as he can before he snaps. He already was at his wit's end, and then all this happened. Don't know how anybody could handle something like that.
Don't you know me? What's happened?
Does that face say she knows you?
Please, Mary, help me. Where's our kids? I need you, Mary. Help me.
It's amazing to me how quickly there are people around in this town. Just constantly people all the time.
Mary! No, you don't.
But I guess this makes the point as quickly as possible. No one in the town knows him. Yeah, you better get the hell out of there, George. Okay, you don't shoot at somebody because they punched you. Clarence better show up there quick, otherwise he's just giving him more reason to take himself out.
Help me, Clarence! Get me back! I don't care what happens to me! I want to live again!
Is it already done? Yeah, the snow started. That's got to signal something.
Hey, George!
There you go.
Bert, do you know me?
Know you?
What a reaction.
Hey, your mouth's bleeding. Are you sure you're all right?
He can't, no matter what he does, he can't avoid looking like a crazy person. He's overjoyed that his mouth is bleeding.
Merry Christmas!
He's not making Bert any less worried about you.
Yay!
Never been more excited to see a wrecked car.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
I've seen that shot before.
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful Billy alone!
Well, it didn't take very long for him to realize how grateful he was for his life, did it? Yeah, it's still a bad situation to walk in to be grateful for.
Mary! Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house! Mary!
Suddenly appreciates everything, doesn't he?
Merry Christmas, Daddy! Kids! Hey!
He even loves the banister that keeps coming off in his hand.
Mary, darling! Mary!
She's out in the snow looking for him.
Oh, George, George.
That had to be one of the hardest ones, looking at her face and seeing that terror when she didn't know him.
Now you stand right over here by the tree.
You're gonna arrest him in front of his family on Christmas.
Come in, Uncle Billy.
George!
Oh, they got the money, didn't they? Oh, look at that.
Isn't it wonderful? Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told some people you were in trouble.
Are they ever going to find out that Potter basically stole the money or held on to it so he'd force him out of business?
Another run on the bank?
Oh, this guy. Even him giving money. The selfish guy who wouldn't leave any of his money in the building alone. This makes everything, that all of this setup, all the dividends of every good thing he's done. People coming to save him when he needed them.
I'm gonna go, George. I changed my mind.
Hey, she's staying in Bedford Falls.
I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George.
Wow. However low he got, just filled him right back up.
My office instructed to advance you up to $25,000. Stop. Hee-haw and Merry Christmas, Sam Wainwright.
Sam more than covered them all at once. They can all take their money back after that whole big showing.
How about some wine?
Yeah, that's quite a finish to this movie. Wow. I can certainly understand why this movie means what it does to people. Even the examiner and the cops. That's great. Yeah, there's some things you'll just never understand, Mr. Potter. Hey, there's Harry.
The fool flew all the way up here in a blizzard.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast. To my big brother, George, the richest man in town.
That's really beautiful. They gotta stop. It's just piling on now. I mean, I know it makes sense because of all the horrible things he went through, but geez. That's sweet. Clarence finally got his wings, too.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
I remember seeing that before, too.
Attaboy, Clarence.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of Christmas movies. I don't know if I've ever seen one quite like that before. Well, that's it, folks. Let's go to the wrap-up. Well, folks, I have to say that was a one-of-a-kind Christmas movie, holiday movie, however you want to say it. I've watched a lot of movies from the 30s, 40s, and beyond. I've watched a lot of Jimmy Stewart movies. I've always had a special place in my heart for things like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington and a couple of other Jimmy Stewart movies that I happen to like. There are times that you hear about a movie that is very well known, very popular. You just hear everybody talk about it, and you watch that movie and it doesn't necessarily live up to the hype. Or maybe it just doesn't reach you the way that it reaches everyone else. This is not one of those times. Casablanca was one of those for me. I remember watching that the first time and just thinking, this movie definitely lives up to all the hype. This movie very much did that for me too. It is criminal, as a fan of Jimmy Stewart movies, that I have not seen this movie until now. Man, it was a different structure than I expected it to be. I really expected to get into the stuff with Clarence and George realizing what his life would be like if he had never lived earlier on. I expected that would be maybe like half the movie or something. It really wasn't. It was, that's the other thing too. For those of you watching along, I don't know if you could tell watching the reaction. In looking up this movie to watch, I found out there are two different versions of this movie. There's what was actually referred to as an abridged version of this movie, and then the regular version of this movie. There's an hour and 45-minute version of this movie. Then there's a 2-hour and 10-minute version of this movie. That's the one I watched. So even out of that version, the whole thing with Clarence was only like the last half hour or less. We were at an hour and 40 minutes, an hour and 45 minutes in before George is ever on the bridge, before Clarence ever shows up. It definitely wasn't as much of the movie as I thought it would be, but it still made sense in that it spent a lot of time really setting up this world. This whole idea that George thought he had to get out of Bedford Falls, he had to go out and make this exciting life for himself. This thing that I guess he thought, I don't know if he thought it would impress other people or if he just genuinely had this interest to go see the world, but constantly not understanding the value of what he had around him, which I think is a common theme in movies like this. I mean, you see things like this in The Wizard of Oz and stuff, that the things you really wanted in life were right in front of you all along. They really were selling it when he went through that. I mean, again, he was under unimaginable pressure. He's looking at, he's going to end up in prison, all this other kinds of stuff. He's gone through all of these things over the years, trying to keep this place running, giving up all of these things that were important to him. He was about to leave on his trip, and he had to stay. Otherwise, the building and loan was going to go to Potter, or he was going to be able to get it shut down. He was going to go on his honeymoon. He had to give up all the money to keep the building and loan going. Just all of these instances of him having to give up something that was important to him to keep this going for his father, to keep this going for the town, and to see it take everything from him. Despite everything he's done, he still ends up in this position where, because of a mistake that his Uncle Billy made, he's going to end up in jail. It's going to look like he was trying to rip off the building and loan and also all the rest of this. Potter sitting there just enjoying twisting the knife on him when he knows exactly what he did. He knows where the money is. He doesn't need it. It's not like he's stealing it for that reason. He's doing it to torture them, and he's doing it because then he'll get what he wants. All of that taking him all the way into the depths. And then, even beyond that, the whole thing with Clarence, where George finally feels like his life is not worth continuing, and that at least if he were to take himself out, that his family would get the life insurance money and all of it. And Clarence getting him to understand, no, all of these people would be so much worse off if you weren't here. All of these little things that you did over the years where you sacrificed a little bit of yourself for these people, you're the reason the town still exists. You're the reason these people have been able to build the lives they have. Sometimes it is just that one small act of kindness that keeps someone's life from completely going out of control. And I guess if you can take anything away from this movie, it's that. And it's something I've believed in certainly my whole life, is try to put as much good back in the world as you can. Try to do good things for people, do nice things for people, try to help wherever you can. It might not seem like much, but it could be everything to the person you're helping. And that stuff adds up. Not because you expect some kind of reward or because you expect people to come in some grand scene at the end and save you from this horrible situation you're in, but just because it's the right thing to do. I'm really grateful to have finally watched this movie. To be honest, I've seen little bits and pieces of this movie over the years. I don't know how you can avoid it. It's such a classic movie. You know, little moments, him running down the street, yelling Merry Christmas to everybody. The thing at the end with his daughter about a bell ringing and an angel getting their wings. I'm just really glad that I finally got a chance to watch this movie, and I'm really grateful to all of you for helping that happen, for all of you voting for this movie and helping to finally get it in front of me. So thank you for that. Thank you for voting for it. Thank you for being here to watch it with me. And thank you for being here with me for the first week of our holiday movies. I hope you are having a nice holiday season. I'm grateful for you to make me a small part of that with you. Unsurprisingly, here today for It's a Wonderful Life, it's getting 5 stars from me. It's getting a solid 5 stars from me. And I don't think that's really a surprise to anybody. Thank you again for being here with me. If you'd be so kind, please go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons down there. Click the bell so you can see when I'm putting out new videos. Happy holidays to all of you out there. I will see you on the next one. And until then, take care.